What's going on YouTube? So in our crossover dominated auto market, it's becoming increasingly rare to find sports cars, yet alone sports cars with 350 horsepower paired to a 6-speed manual. But that's exactly what this Nissan 370Z Nismo delivers. And we spent the last week testing it out. So does this still deliver the performance you want, or should you wait for the upcoming all-new Z? Let's go ahead and find out. So of course, this generation of the Z has been around for quite a while at this point. However, I have to say, I think the design really has aged quite gracefully, and it does still get attention among people that we drive past and show this off to over the last week. Now with the Nismo, you do have a more aggressive look than the regular 370Z, mostly owed to the fact that this is actually 1 inch wider than the normal model, and the bumper has a different shape, more squared off look to give it that meatier, more aggressive stance that you want. Here at your grille, this does extend down a little lower all the way to the bottom, and you also have special red accents that are exclusive to just the Nismo. Now as we move over here to our headlights, they're going to have that signature boomerang 370Z look. They are xenon HIDs across all the Nismo models. And then down here at the bottom, you do have an LED daytime running light. Now continuing the performance design, we do have exclusive wheels, of course. These are 19-inch lightweight forged alloys by Rays, and they have a really nice design to them with the contrast look. It does also contrast nicely with the special red 14-inch brake calipers as well. Now as far as your tires, of course you have summer performance tires, and they are going to be staggered size, so you have 245 width in the front, 285 width in the back. Moving beyond that, we have our turn signal underneath of the Z here. Nismo comes with black mirrors with the red accent, and as far as what these do, they are power adjusting and heated.
Now you don't need me to tell you that this Nismo is a good looking vehicle. Everywhere we've went with this vehicle, people have commented and very positively about the way this looks despite its age. Now the Nismo does throw in some exclusive aggressive touches that you wouldn't get over a standard Z. So one of those is going to be this right here. You have the slit in the bumper that really gives it a wider stance that kind of accentuates the aggressive look of the rest of the vehicle. And then we're also going to have this big spoiler up here on the top. And then it goes into the taillights, which mimic what you see in the front with the headlights with this unique design. They are going to be partially LED, the brake light portion. However, the turn signal and reverse light are both incandescent. We have our Nismo branding. And then down here, we have a very aggressive rear diffuser. We have red accenting here on the Nismo. And we're also going to have larger exhaust pipes with special Nismo tuning for the exhaust. So let's go ahead and hear that. Now the 370Z Nismo is not going to have any active safety gear on board, but of course when you buy a vehicle like this, the road and car to driver connection is the most important aspect. So just drive safe because the car is not going to do anything for you. But anyway guys, that's going to sum up the exterior design of this really good looking Nissan 370Z Nismo. Now let's go ahead and hop on the inside, see what you're going to get in there before we do the part that I know you're waiting on, the test drive.
So on the Z, you do have a standard smart entry system, just like all Nissan products, and you've got the brand's typical key fob, except for the Z branding there at the top. Then to get inside the Nismo itself, just press this button below the door handle and it will unlock. right, and taking a look inside of this Z Nismo's cabin, you'll see that typical Nissan Z cabin that you've seen for a lot of years at this point. However, the Nismo does include several different special touches. Now, what you're looking at right here is one of those special touches. We have the unique Recaro seats, so they come in, of course, one piece here with the really thick side bolsters that hold you in place extremely well. You have Nismo branding up there in the headrest, and special to the Nismo is having the red Alcantara inserts right there in the middle with the leather trim on the outside edges. Now, as far as the door trim, you'll see Alcantara reflected up here as well for the Nismo with the color contrast stitching detail. We do have a soft touch upper part of the door trim, and both the windows are one touch auto up and down. As far as the seats themselves, the adjustment is going to be 8-way manual, and you do have the aluminum pedals and your Nismo branded carpet floor mats. Now, of course, the design inside this cabin is not the latest and greatest because there is the new Z on the way. But as far as the materials are concerned, they're still pretty nice. So across our upper dash, this is going to be finished in a soft touch plastic. Through this middle portion, we have a leather material with a stitching detail. Continues down through here. And then along the sides here, we have Alcantara for our knees to rest against. Now, standard is going to be push button start. So since we have the manual transmission model, put your foot on the brake and put on the clutch, and then push the button to start. Now, taking a look at the gauges, this is a old school analog approach, of course, with nothing to distract you from your driving experience. Right there in the middle, you have your very prominent tachometer. And then off to the side, you can cycle through some basic information by using this button here to see a few different things. You do also have some additional gauges up there on top of the dashboard. Now, coming back to the steering wheel, we have hydraulic power assisted steering, and with the Nismo, you do have Alcantara inserts here on this side of the steering wheel. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be manual tilt, but it does not telescope. And as you can see, the gauges move with the steering wheel. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about interior storage. Now, obviously, this is not going to have a ton, but let's see what we have. We do have a center console here, nicely felt lined. It looks small initially, but when we get our thick stack of coupons here, if I fold them in half, kind of put them in there like that, as you can see, they do actually fit. So that's pretty impressive for a vehicle of this size. Now, beyond that though, there's really not any additional storage at all. Just this one cup holder is the only place to stick anything additional or inside of the door trim storage. Now, of course, like I was saying, we do have the manual transmission, which has a pretty nice feel to it. For reverse, you just push down, go all the way over to the right-hand side, and when you do, you will be greeted with a backup camera. It does have active trajectory and guidelines, however the resolution, as you can see, is not very good. There is an additional backup camera up here in the mirror as well, so you kind of have two different backup cameras, which is nice since this one here is of really low resolution. Now, up in front of the shifter, you have your Nismo branding, and then above that we have our climate controls. So this is going to be a single zone automatic climate control setup. Very easy to use, just make the adjustments right here with these little knobs, and it will show up in the display above. Now, moving above that, we have our traditional audio controls as well. So with the Nismo, you're going to have a Bose 6-speaker sound system included as standard equipment. Now, I'm having some trouble with Bluetooth today, so I'm not going to be able to give you guys a demo of the sound system. However, I will say from using it earlier in the week, sound quality is plenty adequate for such a small cabin. And you do have a CD player still. Okay, and now we'll move up here to our infotainment system. So if you're familiar with older Nissans, this will be familiar to you. It is the older style Nissan system with all the different buttons down here at the bottom. This is a 7-inch touch display, so you can touch it, or you can also use this control knob to scroll between different settings and things like that. And it pretty much goes without saying, if you choose this old school purist model, you are not going to have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Now moving above that, we have an auto dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remote built into it. And then up here at the very top, of course, you're not going to find a moonroof because that would just be adding weight.
So the Nismo Z does not have rear seats, so we'll just go ahead and start my section here at the cargo area. Now in order to get back here, all you have to do is look at the button under the lid, or you can also use the fob or inside the cabin to pop it open, and then it does lift right open. Now, as far as the space itself is concerned back here, you're looking at 6.9 cubic feet. It's not a massive amount of space. However, we haven't had too many issues over the past week getting stuff in this Nismo. And actually, as a matter of fact, we went to the groceries and bought a ton of groceries, and they all fit back here. So that was definitely a bonus. And as far as how they finished it, it has a really nice plush carpeting along the floor. And you do even have a cargo cover. And I do also want to mention that there is storage behind the rear seats, and there's actually quite a bit of storage, so you can access that if you need additional space. Now over here at your passenger seat, you're going to have a Recaro seat, so that means you're not going to get a ton of adjustments, but it is that seat design that's going to really hug you in as you're taking this Nismo around the corners. And as far as the glove box is concerned, we have a decently sized one. It's not massive by any means, but it's probably going to be the best spot to put the coupons. You're going to have to fold them in half and then shove them in there and close it real fast, but it does fit. And up top we have a sun visor with a light as well as a mirror, and we can also detach, and we have an extension in the end. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, like you said, this is the Nismo 370Z. So this is the purest version of the Z, and it does also have more power. So thanks to retuned exhaust and engine computer, this is actually making 350 horsepower, which is 18 more than the regular Z.
Yeah. And in a vehicle this light, that definitely gets you up to speed very quickly. And also, it just sounds so good. This is one of the absolute best engines for sound. That venerable VQ 3.7 liter engine is just a timeless classic engine. And then especially with the Nismo tuning for the exhaust, it just sounds fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. The exhaust sounds really good. Now, of course, as you can tell, I am shifting through a 6-speed manual transmission, which, like we said at the beginning, is just becoming rare to, find manual transmissions a lot in a lot of vehicles these days. You can also choose the automatic option if you want. That's a 6-speed automatic as well. But I imagine that pretty much every single person that buys one of these is going to choose the manual option because this is a purist vehicle, and it really plays into that experience, of course, being a lot, better. Now, this does have downshift rev matching, which is definitely nice.
gives you more of that engine note that just sounds so good. Now, if you're curious as to the 0 to 60 of this, we don't have an exact figure, but we do know it's under 5 seconds. 0 to 60, from my experience this week, I'd say probably like 4.5 seconds would be what you'd expect. Now, I do also want to mention here just kind of the suspension. Since we're driving along on this highway, this is of course going to be a very, like we've been just mentioning throughout this whole review, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is a purist vehicle. So when it comes to the just ride quality of it, this is going to be stiff. It's very stiff. I mean, there's no way other to say that. The seats are pretty hard. They hold you in place really, really well, but it's stiff. And when you hit a bump, you're going to feel it. But that all plays into this experience that you're getting with the Nismo Z. You buy this because you want that. So that's just kind of
right.
What you're
and
get.
It's not like it's stiff for no reason.
The
reason is because of that go-kart-like handling that this delivers. You'll see that as we go around more corners, but as far as like the steering, I mean, look how fast and quick it responds, and there's like zero body roll whatsoever. It is absolutely glued to the road.
Now, as far as some boring stuff you might be curious about, the fuel economy. This engine is not known for having great fuel economy since it is an older engine. So the manual is going to be rated at 172620. Not horrible fuel economy. I also want to point out that you're not going to need premium fuel, so that's a bonus. If you go for the automatic, it's going to increase by 2 mpg combined to 22. It's just so fun.
It definitely is a really fun car to drive on a back road, just with the handling and the engine and the manual. It's very driver involved in a lot of ways. Many cars just kind of are isolating, from the driver, but this, you really feel like you're in control.
Oh yeah. And you may be curious as to how much this Nismo is gonna cost you. And for the regular 370Z, it's gonna be $30,090 starting. That's a manual transmission, and then for the Nismo, it's gonna start at $45,790. Now, as far as this one is concerned, when we add the destination as well as a few just accessory items, this one's gonna be $47,670.
But overall, I think, as you can see by this point, this is still a really fun vehicle to drive in. This is an old vehicle, like we said. I think, of course, this is still a really good purist sports car that you can get, but I think it also makes me very, very excited for the upcoming all-new Z, because this, despite being its age, is still such a solid sports car. So I can't wait to see what Nissan does with the all-new Z.
Well guys, we really appreciate you watching this in-depth review of the Nissan 370Z Nismo. We really appreciate you making it this far, and if you did, that probably means you enjoyed watching, so be sure to help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below. It's completely free, and all it's going to do is give you notifications on our most recent content, and it does help give us more opportunities to review really cool cars like this Nismo here, and hopefully that new 400Z coming soon. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.